Good afternoon, everyone. At this time, I'd like to welcome everyone. This is our annual budget meeting with the Nash Community College and the Nash Public School System. And of course, it is a public meeting, and I see a lot of press here. Glad to see y'all back in the room. Been a while. But it is customary for the Board of Commissioners to begin each one of their meetings with a prayer by a commissioner. And during this time, you're welcome to stand and join us in that prayer. You're welcome to use this time for your own prayer, or you're welcome to use it for a moment of silence, whichever is appropriate for you. And at this time, I'd like to call on Commissioner Dan Combs to have the invocation tonight. Mr. Combs.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you again for another wonderful, beautiful day that you have provided us with, Lord. We just thank you for all the blessings you provide us, Lord, today and every other day, Lord. And forgive us, Lord, when we fail you and we take you so for granted, Lord, and we don't give you the thanks and the glory that we should. Lord, as we gather here tonight, Lord, to discuss the business of the Nash County school system and the Nash Community College, Lord, we just pray that you would bless us, Lord, and everything we do would be pleasing in your sight and for the betterment of Nash County, Lord, for these two fine institutions that we have that work for the citizens every day. And we pray, Lord, that we as commissioners would do the things that Nash County would be proud of, Lord, and that would be pleasing in your sight. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Commissioner Combs. And at this time, I'd like to call the Nash County Board of Commissioners to order. And with that said, Chairman Lamb, I'll turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. At this time, I'd like to call the Nash County Public School Board of Education to order.
I would like to say that we have one member out. Ms. Wells is not able to be with us tonight. She is actually in the hospital, but doing a lot better. And if you will keep her in your thoughts moving forward, the Board of Commissioners would greatly appreciate that. And just moving right into the agenda, item number 4 is a budget presentation by the Nash Community College. And Dr. Honeycutt, I'll turn it over to you. And just a little procedure, we did bring Megan with us tonight, and what she will be doing, if we can pause between each speaker, she will be walking up to the podium and cleaning it with an ultraviolet light that the county purchased a few months ago that does a real great job of cleaning the podium off and the microphone off. And with that said, thank you for being here tonight, Megan. I'll turn it over to you, Doctor.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Well, first off, welcome to campus. This may be the biggest live audience I've sat in 18 months. I don't know. It seems like forever, doesn't it? But for those of you who haven't gotten around to me, I am Lou Honeycutt. I'm very privileged to be the 5th president of Nash Community College. I began this job on November 1st of 2019, so I like to think of myself as a COVID president, and I should probably get a honeymoon year after this is all over at some point. But I'm very pleased tonight to present the campus update to y'all, and then I'm going to turn it over to the smarter of the two of us representing the college tonight. What are you shaking your head yes for? Adrian Covington, our CFO. I'm also pleased tonight to have the chair of our Board of Trustees, Sonny Foster, with us here. And then, as most of you probably know, Ms. Wells, who Mr. Davis was referencing, and then also Mr. Outlaw, also serve on the Board of Trustees. So we have great representation here tonight. But welcome to campus. It's so nice to see people in the Brown Auditorium again, because it's always a heavily used site. I want to take y'all through a little bit of an update, then again I'm going to turn it over to Adrian to talk strictly about the budget. But I get asked a lot at every position I've ever had, do you make an impact where you're at? Me personally or the college I'm at. I wanted to show y'all the impact that Nash Community College has on this county. I promised the commissioners last year I would come to this meeting with data. I was brand new last year and I didn't know all the answers, still don't, but here's some of them. One of the things I asked when I first got here is, where do we live? Do we support the county by where we live and as well as work? And in fact, the answer is that we do. And if you look at that circled number up there on Nash County, that is almost 60% of our full complement of part-time and full-time people that actually have a Nash County address. If you add the counties that are right around us, it pulls us into the 80s, which means we do have some that drive, but the majority of them have their doctors here. They eat here, they shop here, they get gas here. So we do support the county just by where we live, just by means of where we live. The second question I always get asked is, what do y'all give back? And when I talk about give back, I'm talking about volunteer hours outside the scope of work. And I was really happy to, this is the second question I asked Data on. I was very happy to see the results. And indeed, Nash Community College does give back to the county and beyond. 69% of our full-time employees go or contribute almost 7,000 volunteer hours a year. So I'm very proud of that. Now, that's not all in Nash County. That's wherever they live, whether it's in libraries, churches, or whatever it might be. But here's the big one that I get asked all the time. Is there an impact, positive impact on the economy? And as a matter of fact, there is. You may have heard, if you've heard me speak before, this first number. We serve annually out here about 79,000 people. Now you're saying to yourself, wait a minute, y'all say 12,000 students. This complex alone serves about 29,000 people a year. Just all the events that you've all come to, I've went to. Now in the last year, much to Adrian and I's chagrin, we haven't been able to do those. But this number was for 2019. We're not going to count during COVID years, just going to act like it didn't happen. And then we'll start back up and we can start having activities on campus. But that's about 79,000. We just entered into, or just got the preliminary data on a new economic impact study through IMSI, which is the international group that does economic impact studies. This is preliminary data, and you're really not supposed to share that till they tell you it's final, but I'm going to share it just for y'all tonight. The economic impact that IMSI estimated for us on the county, $86 million annually. Think about that from a return on investment. That's about a $31 return on investment for every county budget dollar we get. If I could get my retirement account to do that, I could retire a lot quicker. So I think it's a very good return on investment. Here's one that IMSI gave us that I didn't know we would get this in the data, but I think it's great. 1 of every 38 jobs in this county is influenced or is supported by the activities of the college and the students. So are we an important hub in the county? Absolutely, but you already know that. Here's the other thing. If you take nothing away from this talk tonight, we never closed. We took our Easter break and moved it to spring break last March and took 6 days to get everyone ready to start back up when the shutdowns happened. We, on day 7, brought back fire and basic law enforcement and EMS and all those things you can't teach online that were essential, and then we continued to bring programs back. But we never closed our doors at all. When you look at, when people say, well, how many of y'all are on campus? When are you coming back to campus? 55% of us have never left campus, including me and my senior staff. We were all on campus the whole time. Some of our people worked, 75-25 or 50-50, but we really only had 17% that were really off campus for the majority of the last year. Those were our curriculum transfer faculty. If you're teaching history and all your classes are online, we really didn't need you to be on campus. Now, what we found, though, is our students do need us to be on campus. So as we get back to normal, you're going to see more and more of that 17 will soon be back on campus as well. Just to give you an idea of the kind of classes we offer and what's happened over the last year, if you look at fall 19, the last normal semester pre-COVID, we were already doing, we were doing more online than most people might have thought. Online or distance, meaning completely online. Nash Community College, way before my time back in 2015, took on online as a challenge and mastered it. So we were already doing a lot of online, about 70-30, 70 in person, 30 online. With COVID, that flipped. We had to take as much online as we could to continue to operate. But there are things that you can't teach online. Let's say like welding. and many other things, medical assisting and things like that. So we flipped some, but not all. I'm really proud of Team Nash because by this fall, we are already going to be approaching normal again. We don't know that we will ever get 70-30 again because our online has really increased, and it's a quality online. We will probably go somewhere 60-40 or maybe even 50-50. So we're relatively close to normal now. We think by spring 22, which seems like a long way away, but it's not, that normalcy will have come back to Nash Community College. So community college enrollment across the country is down. In a typical downturn, economic downturn, community college population goes up. This was not a typical downturn. When people are trying to figure out how to feed their families and keep a job or send their kids to, or work with their kids in school at home, they don't have time for college. We do think we're going to see we hope we're going to see a rush in the near future of people coming back. But just to give you an idea of what happened around the state, there are 58 community colleges in the state. Only one showed growth last year. It was 6%. And I've called them and said, how did you do it? And they said, I have a great team. Well, so do I. But we were very happy that at least one did. But that means 57 others did not grow. The average loss in the system was 5.6%. That's a pretty good loss, right? The loss at Nash Community College is almost 10%. So we had a larger loss. We were 51st out of the 58 for a loss. We don't like that, but that's just the way it is. So the question you're asking now is, why does the board let me stay? Well, they don't blame me for that, I know. And they've been extremely supportive. And we've got a lot of great ideas coming back. And so how are we going to recoup this enrollment? Well, number one, we're coming back to normal, not new normal. I said this to one of our trustees not too long ago. I said something about new normal, and he said, I don't want new normal. I want handshakes and hugs and group meetings and things like that. So do we. So we're going to be back to normal soon. We are doing some incredible in the box, but a whole lot of out of the box thinking, and then really coming back to some basics that are just too simple not to work. So there's a lot of irons in the fire on that. One of the things we have always done here since 1967, but we're certainly going to ramp up on moving out of COVID, is emphasizing skills. Not just emphasizing skills, but changing the messaging that we've all gotten for 50 years that everybody needs a 4-year degree to survive. That is not true. Everybody doesn't even need a 2-year degree to survive. We have many programs that we call Career in a Year, or Career in 6 months, or Career in 3 months, where you can train up and get a job or a better job. Go back later and get a 4-year degree, but let's get you in the workplace early on. Currently, we're in our strategic planning process, which makes working out of COVID a great thing because we're starting to do all this planning. One of the silver linings of COVID, we would have had our strategic plan done last year. Had COVID not hit, we would be redoing it now. So because of COVID, we had to postpone it, but it's going to be a much better, clear vision for us for the next 5 years. It'll go into effect in July. The key to sustainable growth for Nash Community College is right in our own backyard. It is Nash County. There are plenty of people to go around, plenty of people that need education. So along those lines, one of the things I've been doing, and it has been the most awesome part of my job so far, well, there's a lot of awesome parts of my job, but I've been going to the city and town halls and meeting with the councils and saying, what can we do for you? And it's been great to go to Castelia and Momer. I've done 5, I've got 6 to go. I was going to have these done by summer of last year, and then COVID hit. So I'm a little late getting them done. But again, now even their needs have changed. And we're saying, instead of you coming to me, what can I do for you? How can we bring Nash Community College to you? We are very focused on becoming less campus-centric. There are many, many barriers to people coming here. It is 7 miles from here to downtown Rocky Mount. That's a barrier for some people. Well, then let's go to downtown Rocky Mount. There are barriers for people in southern Nash County to come here for classes routinely. Then let's go to southern Nash County. So you're going to see a lot of ideas about that, taking classes and things out, services out to the county, removing barriers. We're talking about a mobile classroom situation. The board doesn't know this yet, so I'm not spending money yet, but where we can take the college literally in a mobile setting to anywhere we want to. We're also looking at storefront classrooms where we don't need a lot. We just need a room to meet and a room to offer services. And then our Rocky Mount Mill classroom, you're going to start seeing a lot more activity down there from us with services and enrollment things, events, and things like that. We also have, and one of them's here tonight, we have incredible partnerships with our other educational family. And with Dr. Ellis being new, me being new, we hit it off immediately, which should scare you all in a lot of ways. But he has got so many great ideas, mentoring ideas. We matched on that so closely. Dr. Duff out at Wesleyan. Wesleyan is not a competitor for us, they're a partner. And we are committed, Dr. Duff and I, with Dr. Ellis, to take students from pre-K through 4 years in Nash County. If we can educate students here all the way through if they want a 4-year degree, regardless of what else they might want, certificates or diplomas, if we educate them in the county, we're going to keep them in the county. I left my home county when I was 19 years old, and I've never been back because there just weren't opportunities there. If I'd have stayed in my county, I'd have been there still. So we want to keep young people here in the county. So am I worried about enrollment? Absolutely. It keeps me up at night. But it's not going to ruin my life because the cool thing about it is this is Team Nash we're talking about. I have worked with many, many incredible teams. I have never worked with a team that's as incredible as the one I work with now. They are truly a special group of people. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Adrian in just a second. But I do want to say we are so excited about the purchase of the adjacent property on the west side of campus and the new animal facility that's going to go in. Because we have a vet tech program that is growing and going to continue to grow. And that space is just going to be incredible for us. And probably more importantly, or as importantly, there are about 560 of us out here, and we could not do what we do. I'm very privileged. In my job, I get to literally change lives every day. We could not do that without your support. So we're immensely grateful for the continued support of Nash County. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to the smarter of the two of us, and Adrian's going to talk about the budget.
All right. Good evening, and thank you for your time tonight. I wanted to start out and just show you some of the things that we've been working on throughout this year with our county funds. So this is our new Advising and Success Center that we have constructed in a part of the library, downstairs area of the library. Our current advising center is upstairs in the mezzanine area of the library, which presents some ADA issues. So for student accessibility, this will be much better. This area is actually right across the Rotunda Hall area from our current student enrollment services. So it will be much more convenient for our students to get the services that they need. The next item, and I'll say, I know it's generally frowned upon to take pictures of bathrooms, but nobody was in the restrooms, I promise. But on the left is the old restrooms, the originals to the buildings in A and B. And here is our new modern-looking bathrooms. Everybody is so happy with these. And two of these bathrooms are kind of right at our front door student services area, the most used on campus. So this was a great improvement to the facilities. Next, we've also been working on removing and trimming some of the shrubs on campus. One, just to open up the quad area, and also of major importance is to increase visibility, improve security on campus. So that's been another project. So moving on to next year now, we have, you all have a budget packet on your table. But this is just a comparison of our current budget versus our request. And looking at operating, so for this upcoming year, we're requesting just over $2.4 million in operating, and that represents a 0.35% increase there. Capital is about a 7% increase, and then expansion funding for 2 positions, additional full-time custodial position and additional maintenance position. So that's 109. So total budget request is just over 2.9 million, a 5.23% increase. So looking at our operating budget, just a little bit over the 0.35% increase. We've got a couple of things going on this year. First, we're asking for a 5% increase for our custodial and maintenance staff, and that is in line with what we are hoping our state-funded employees will get based on the governor's budget, which is a 5% increase. The last couple of years, we have given, thank you for your support, between 3 to 5% increases for our facilities and maintenance staff. The next big, huge savings that we are seeing this year is in our phone line item. We went out competitive bid process, and we have switched to a company called True IP, and we're actually going to be able to see annual savings of $61,000 in our phone services. So that was just a big win there, and we're very excited about it. And actually, I've had other colleges call and asking me about the company, but so far so good. It's great service and great customer service. We are also out for bid for our insurance services. We put that out for bid every 3 years, and we are anticipating some increase in that for liability and cyber insurance. So the 5% increase for the salaries, and then coupled with the savings, that's why we're seeing that kind of 0% increase in the operating. And I did mention the expansion request for the additional full-time custodial and maintenance, so that's showing in the operating line items. All the other items in the operating budget are based on a 2% increase or a decrease of whatever savings we could realize and project. In capital, we are requesting $225,000 for building maintenance, and that's things like upgrading lighting, replacing carpeting, so forth, like that. ADA, automatic door openers, and so forth, adding those. Also asking for $35,000 in equipment funds. That's to purchase a used tractor with a front end loader. The current one we have is actually a hand-me-down from another community college that didn't need it anymore, and we got it years ago, but that's coming to the end of life on that. And also in that equipment line item is just miscellaneous equipment, string trimmers, things like that, so replacements as they go out. And last, we have in the capital upgrades, $184,000, to replace the roof on building D1 and to replace the boiler in building B, and also to replace some HVAC drives in the S&T and B&I building. That's all I have. Yep. Okay. So, any questions I can answer? Thank you for your time and support.
I see a trend in society now where the community colleges, it appears, going to be more prevalent, involved in economic development than our colleges and universities. Are you looking at that and trying to, even the president said last night that you don't have to have a degree, 4-year college degree, in order to be successful in life?
Absolutely.
Here in America, but I've heard it even before he said it. Been going on, I know, for the last 2 or 3 years. Are you preparing for that day? Well, it's really here now.
Yes.
So I'd like to hear your comments,
Yeah.
either from both of
Sure.
them, from the president. to
Absolutely,
us.
but yes, definitely the shift toward those short workforce development credentials and so forth. And Dr. Honeycutt, if you'd like to.
Well, that's a wonderful question. We call it the Great 58 in the state because there's 58 community colleges. But across the nation, we know the key to coming out of COVID and the key to success is the community college. From President Biden all the way down, it's being talked about. We are addressing that as aggressively as we can. We've got our small business center has just been incredibly active in the last year with Tierra Norwood working with small businesses. As I mentioned to y'all, the career in a year, the career in 6 months, the career in 3 months, we're ramping up that marketing campaign to talk to people, and it's really more of a messaging thing. We've got to convince parents in particular that you don't have to have a 2-year or 4-year degree to succeed. We have a lineman program that it takes 16 weeks to gain the certificate. It's 1 semester. Most of them are underwritten by Duke or Electricities or someone. The average starting salary last year with no college debt, $50,000. That's sellable. And so what we're doing in part of our marketing is developing little vignette videos that show a student talking about what the program's done for them, an employer talking about what the student's done for them, and then the requirements of the program after that and an earning potential. And we think we're going to see big results. We're already seeing a lot of interest, but we're also seeing a lot, well, but what do you offer in the 2-year area? Well, we build programs in the certificate side that you can move those into a diploma if you choose. So we're gonna sell on short-term training, short-term certificates. But when we've got you, we do the did you know game. Did you know if you just did 3 more certificates, you could move into this diploma? And so we think we can start a pipeline. Steve and I, Dr. Ellis and I are working very diligently on, and we are also with Rocky Mount Prep, on a 3rd and 4th grade level program. We will always recruit from 12th grade down, but we're starting to recruit at 3rd grade. And while we want to brand them to the college, but also, believe it or not, 3rd graders know what they want to be when they grow up. Well, let's keep them on track. And if it's a skills area, let's not let someone convince them to go on to the university. Let's keep them in the skills area. So I think locally between Nash County Public Schools, the charter schools, the private schools, Wesleyan and us, we're going to have that covered. We're very aggressive in that.
Yeah, many people now, young people, are encouraged to be entrepreneurs. And so they're going to need some guidance to be successful. Because I know way back in the past, only 33% out of 100% were successful. So we added a game, so we want to make it even better, that entrepreneurs can be successful with whatever good idea that they have that will be productive here in society.
Yes, sir. Excuse me, through our small business center with Tierra Norwood, we work really closely with the chamber and really anybody else that wants to work with us. She has been, for COVID to have been like it was, she's been as busy as anything we have, looking at entrepreneurs. How do we get you successful in business? So we kind of cover all the bases out here, and we're just going to expand on that with my goal of training them, educating them, and keeping them in Nash County. That's the goal.
Dr. Covington, if I could ask one or the two of you, could you share with our board I'm not going to ask the dollar amount, but what you've been able to do with your CARES funding and what you propose to do with your American Recovery money?
It's a great question, and I'm going to give it to the smart person.
May I, before you get there, please? Sure. Thank you for Nash Community College in Rocky Mount. I think it's important to piggyback on what you were saying, that we embrace and support STEP, of all the work that STEP has done.
Absolutely.
Here in Nash and Edgecombe counties. If you're not familiar with STEP, ask me, or you can Google it, find out more. It's a partnership that we have with the 2 community colleges and the 2 school systems. And we train kids. We start in high school and they get certificates and get jobs. It's something that we really need to support and appreciate the fact that we have STEP here in our counties.
Absolutely.
Adrian, if you could pause just a moment, Megan. I'm sorry, this is just our normal protocol. Thank you.
Okay, so we have at this point received 2 different pots of federal funding, the CARES Act and what we call CARES Act 2, the SRSA funds. Half of that allocation had to be used for student emergency relief. So we have awarded the first bucket of money to students in need, and actually next week, from the second bucket of money, that will be awarded. The other part of those funds are what's called institutional funds, and we could use those for transitioning over to virtual environment, professional development. We are looking at using this for this next round, and there's still a lot of questions about that, about this next round of funding, but we're looking at the possibility of being able to use some of those funds to improve ventilation systems. We really hope to take care of like the control system in the S&T and other projects on campus. So we're actually working with Snyder Electric right now. They're doing a campus-wide study of all of our HVAC ventilation systems, and they'll come back with some recommendations on what needs to be done, and we'll use those funds for that.
I don't have any idea the amount you're receiving, but is it possible that some of your capital and plant, I know we all, or our board is certainly trying to use these funds for one-time expenditures because they won't be here long, and we don't want to create reoccurring expenses.
Right.
And may not be even able to. We're waiting on guidance as well. But is there a chance that some of the capital and plant fund requests could possibly utilize those funds for those?
Yes, sir, possibly the boiler and also those, maybe the drives, the frequency drives.
Okay. Just a question that I had. Thank you.
Okay.
Other board members have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
While we're on the Nash Community College, are there any other discussions or any other concerns that the community college may have or our board may have? We do not assemble together very often, and it'd be a great time to bring those concerns up. This is a very quiet group tonight. Mr. Belfield, what did you say, sir? Larger than that. Point noted, sir. Okay. Well, following the agenda, the next item is a break, and we hadn't been here long. I'll be glad to call for the break. Does anybody wish to take a break, or you want us to move straight into the Nash County Board of Education. Any hands for a break? Well, seeing none, I will move to item number 8, which is the budget presentation by the Nash County Board of Education. And Dr. Ellis, I'll turn it over to you, sir, and your staff.
Has it been wanded? Just checking. So good evening.
Good evening.
I am Steve Ellis, Superintendent of Nash County Public Schools. Before we start, I wanted to thank Dr. Honeycutt for his being the hostess with the mostest tonight. I appreciate it. We have met during these pandemic times, and we've gotten to grow a pretty good friendship and some good ideas we're sharing to see how we can better the education of our students and how we move forward. So I appreciate you hosting us tonight and look forward to our relationship. And back to that, it has been a trying year. And personally, I just want to thank my board and my team for a great job. It has been a lot of different things we've had to talk about. I'm thankful we are in Plan A. It took us a while, but we're in Plan A. Our students are in school. We've probably got about 28% that are virtual, but hopefully next year we're going to be 100% in school. So that is positive for me. I also want to thank the county commissioners because in spite of our pandemic, we still have seemed to be able to move forward with many items for Nash County schools. And I think that's important to me because our momentum has not stopped because of a pandemic. And we're going to share some pictures tonight of that, but we've still moved forward with the school and our projects this year, and I just want to thank the county commissioners for their support because I believe that we will be a better school system and a better county when we work on the same team. So collaboration and partnership to me has been great this year, and I hope we can share some of our improvements that we've made. So Mr. Davis, Executive Director of Facilities and Maintenance, is going to come and present some of the projects we've had this year.
Mr. Davis, if you'll pause one moment.
Sure. Good evening.
Good evening.
I don't think anyone was more happier to see kids come back to school than my staff. I think since last March when we vacated buildings, we went full throttle on a lot of projects that we normally can't do with kids on campus. To start with, we're doing a lot of mechanical upgrades within the district. Hubbard Elementary's a campus we've just moved on to with renovations. This is the second year. This year we've completed 5 classrooms. You can see that on the left. If I can get that up. It's classroom on the left. We're also going to be renovating the LED lights, putting ceiling tile in. It's basically just a renovation of the classroom and mechanical systems. You see on the right, Southern Nash High School. We've been on this campus for about 5 years. We've been doing a lot of this work in-house, either during spring break or during the summer, changing this equipment. The lower picture was taken this spring. We did Southern Nash High School, the VRF system in the main office area. We also did Northern Nash. You'll see this. This started last March, about a week after COVID shut the system down. We moved in, totally wrecked the office area, admin area, and put the new VRF system in. We did all of this in-house. New suspended ceiling work, new LED lights. If you'll look at the bottom left, that's the finished product of the office area. So every office in that area complex was renovated. Bottom right picture and the upper picture, we're actually been working on that. That's Southern Nash High Hallways. We like one unit left, and we'll have the entire older building totally renovated. Ceilings, lights. We've just been kind of marching around the campus. We should finish that in the next week. Gymnasium renovations. This has been an ongoing project. We started about 5 years ago with Northern Nash, Southern Nash. They were our older campuses with bleacher renovation. We went from high schools down to middle schools, pulling out all the old bleachers, putting new bleachers in, sanding and refinishing the gym floors. We've now started and hopefully going to be finishing up elementary schools soon. Picture on the left you can see is the bathroom at Spring Hope Elementary, and the bottom is the foyer. That's all new suspended ceilings, lights, mechanical equipment. If you look at the far right picture, that's the finished product. Sanded and refinished the gym floor, new bleachers, new mechanical equipment. You see the sock duct running across the top of the gym. All of that was completed with my staff while COVID has had our children out. You'll also notice the gym windows, the top picture. That's the before. We're starting to do gym renovations from a mechanical standpoint. We're putting air in. We're trying to change the heat load on these windows and try to save on utilities, because these older windows, the heat value and recovery time costs a lot of energy. The bottom picture basically shows the finished product. Finishing up gym renovations, we completed Southern Nash High Gymnasium. It was completed in the fall with the gym. And Middlesex Elementary, you can see those bleachers were replaced along with the LED lighting. The gym floor was refinished when we had the addition several years back. And finally, you'll see Cooper's Elementary School. There are new bleachers there, and the floor was also sanded and refinished as well. And you can see the glare in that picture, the new LED lighting that we installed as well. Parking lot resurfacing. This is something we've kind of fallen back on because mechanical has taken precedent in some of the roofing jobs. But we have been trying to concentrate last year and the upcoming years of catching up on some of our paving. You can see Hubbard was completed over spring break a few weeks ago. Nash Central Middle School was also completed over spring break. And Northern Nash, this was the phase 2 piece. It was completed this past summer, and we had phase 1 the previous spring, so Northern Nash High School has totally been resurfaced. Roofing projects. This is Nash Central High School. This is the lower roof of the 2-story building. That building, is hard to believe, is going on 20 years old. That's a 20-year roof. We're having a single membrane roof. It's starting to separate, so now we're in the process now of coming back, starting to replace that roof. You'll also see Williford Elementary. It's another school that was opened in 97, 98 with a 20-year roof. We completed that one this past summer. And phase 1 of Fairview Elementary. Phase 2 will be completed this coming summer. And finally, Red Oak Elementary School. I know it's been a long time coming, but we are getting a lot closer. We're in the final stages of contract signing. We are planning a pre-construction meeting somewhere around the 17th of May or that week. HG Reynolds has told us they will be mobilizing June 1st. they could move in and have been told they could, but with still not arriving until November. We're going to wait for kids to get out so we can put security fencing up, and they'll start mobilizing June 1st and start work. Even with a June 1st start date, the contractor's saying there may be about a 2-month period they're sitting there waiting for steel. So pushing it back a couple of weeks to get kids out for this year seems to be the best move. We're also looking at doing a groundbreaking. We have not got that finalized yet, but we're looking at toward the end of May or the first week of June. And once we finalize that, we'll get that out. Thank you. Questions now? Yes, sir.
In your maintenance and improvement of schools, I noticed I didn't see you call any of the schools that are located in the city of Rocky Mount. Are they in the shape that they don't need maintenance, improvement?
I did not list all of the projects we did, and some of the schools I did list we have done work. Rocky Mount Middle, we've done work. I could sit up here for probably 30 minutes and tell you everything we have done within the district. This is our larger projects that we have taken on.
That's what I should have said, the larger project. I know there's some maintenance got to be done.
Sure. These are all of our capital improvements now. The way I try to do this on some of the other campuses from a mechanical standpoint, if we have a single unit that fails, I try to have enough money versus replacing a compressor. I like to change the piece of equipment out. But Williford and Fairview Elementary, we've done work at Edwards Middle, so we have spread the capital money out throughout the district. I do definitely, when I do the budgets, try to make sure that we hit every part of the county.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Joyce Jarrett, for those who I've not met, the CFO for Nash Rocky Mount Public Schools, Nash County Public Schools, excuse me. I'm here tonight to share with you how we're spending the funds that you are appropriating to us. We have added an estimated $445,000 for fines and forfeitures and interest to the appropriations, with a total of $23,592,614. The majority of the monies will be spent on salaries, supplements, and benefits. And that's because we have a number of salaries, 14 right now, of certified teachers that are paid out of local funds, and then a couple of departments, the staff are paid out of local funds. It does not matter where the salaries of class certified are paid. The local supplement is paid out of local. It is not, the salaries can be paid out of various programs in state and also in local. But the local supplement, the supplement itself, for certifies, for the administrators, and those at central office receiving supplements are paid out of the local funds. So adding to that, any change or increase in the state that occurs beyond this budget will be factored into what we have to pay out of local funds. And those are things that we don't know right now. Additionally, the cost of medical and retirement increase annually. We don't know that either at this point, what the state will do. But because of historical data, we anticipate an increase in that, in those rates. So total of salaries, supplements, and benefits right now that we're estimating, based on what we know, will be at $13,173,288. Then we have what some would say were fixed costs also for purchase services, and those are things that we have contracts with other vendors for insurance purchases, any types of contracts for maintenance or things such as that. Maintenance, when I say maintenance, I mean utilities and those types of things. That's $6,725,618. Supplies and materials that we may need within central office are also factored into the local budget of $2,043,708. And then, as you know, we transfer a certain portion to the charter schools within this district. And we are looking at having, based on our numbers now, enrollment, that we will be transferring $1,650,000 of the local funding to the charter schools. So we have the revenue coming in, and this shows how we anticipate dispersing the revenue for 21-22 academic year. Then for the capital outlay funding, Mr. Davis has provided how he is going to allocate the $1,577,281 that will be appropriated for this academic year 21-22. And these are referenced here for your review. This is our simplistic summary of our budget. Thank you.
As it relates to local funding, how many teachers do you have that are totally paid out of local funds?
Right now it's 14, and that includes their 14 are paid out of local. That includes their salary, the medical, retirement, and their supplement.
So the question was asked for the community college about the ESSER funding, which is, we were given CARES Act money at the beginning of this year, and then we're going to get round 2 and 3 in the following months. I'm assuming it'll be here by the end of the month. ESSER 2 is going to be $16 million. ESSER 3 is $36 million. And this money has to be spent by, you can tell it expires in about 2.5 years. Now, it is line item for certain things, so it would be for learning loss. So we'll have things such as Summer Scholars Academy for at-risk kids who had learning loss this year. This will be for 3 years of summer scholars. Air quality. Mr. Davis talked about HVAC. Any air quality renovations we can do, we can use with this money. And there's other categories, but these are the simple ones. Transportation, getting kids back and forth during learning loss, after school, before school, transportation. Teacher support, counselors, nurses, psychologists, sociologists, mental health, social emotional learning, tools to support students, and technology. So we do have a good deal of money coming to us, but it is categorized, so we have to spend it the way it is line item, okay? But that is a good amount of money for us to begin some of the upgrades we need to do in the system. So in October, when I came up here, we talked about some of the needs for the school system. We talked about the technology, what I really think technology is going to be taken care of with the ESSER funding. The upgrades of the schools, I think we're going to have that money from ESSER funding to assist in that. But what we don't have money for, and what I'm concerned about, and we talked about in October, is a local supplement request. Because our fear is that we're going to start losing teachers based on our supplement. Our supplement right now is 10%. What we are requesting tonight is we've given you about 2 or 3 formulas if we went to a 1%, 1.5%, or 2%. And then what we did was non-certified. And through this pandemic, in my opinion, a lot of the essential workers were left without getting the bumps and some of the money that the states and the feds were giving out. This would take care of these non-certified salary increases. A lot of these workers had steps this year that we gave them increases, but the steps were $2, $3. Wasn't very meaningful in my opinion. So what we are asking is for a 1% or a 1.5 or 2% increase for our non-certified staff. Bus drivers, child nutrition, clerical, maintenance, teacher assistants, transportation. So, with that, I just want to thank you for allowing us to be here tonight. Once again, I appreciate your support. It has been a tough year, but it's been a rewarding year because I've met many people in this district, and I know together, when we work together, the goal of making our students the best there can be is going to happen. So if you have any questions, I will take them now.
Dr. Ellis, while you're at the podium there, first of all, I'd say in a future year, it would be nice if we had, it's a long way up there where you're at, and we couldn't see those numbers.
So we did that on purpose.
Well, I fully understand that's a possibility, but I don't believe what you just said. But it would have been nice, like the community college had, and just future reference, if we could have had that in front of us. But just trying to keep up with what you're saying, it appears like to me that your budget request matches what you got the current year and pretty much what you've gotten for a number of years, probably 4, possibly 5, with the exception of your last slide, which was along the line of an increase in supplements.
Correct.
Am I right in that statement for the benefit of our board members? 'Cause
Correct.
we really couldn't we just couldn't follow what you were doing number.
And I'll get copies for everyone. So
Okay.
we'll do it.
But we probably could talk about it better if we had it here and could actually see the numbers. But is that a true statement that is pretty much where we've been, with the exception of the last item that you had up there?
Yes.
Okay. So the current expense, the capital expense matches what you had the year we're currently in?
Correct.
Okay. With that said, Mr. Belfield, excuse me.
Do you have the figures now if Nash County Board of Commissioners approve a 1.5 or 1.2 up to 2% supplement, what that total figure would be?
For teachers, it would be 1% would be $7.9 million. Ms. Jarrett, am I reading that right?
That's the total there.
Total.
I can't see it, understand it from this point. So
I think the question, Dr. Ellis, was what would the 1% cost, what would the 2% cost? And if I see it right, you gave the total of what
Right.
a 10 or 12% would be.
Before I butcher these numbers, let me get Ms. Jarrett up here.
Okay. We actually, in reading the local news from your meeting the other night, it seemed to be some confusion in the numbers, and I actually got with our finance director to get her to explain it to me, but that's probably where the confusion came in. But Mr. Belfield, hold on before you form an opinion. I think you're going to see something a little different.
Well, Cliff.
Okay.
My eyes won't do it, so that's why I asked the question.
A 1% cost increase of where we are right now, just the 1%, including FICA and retirement, is $656,425. A 1%, adding to what we already have, just that increase. Then if we did a 1.5%, that would be, including FICA and the retirement that we have now, which is 21.68%, that would be $984,636. 2% increase, again using FICA, which never changes, and, well, hasn't, and the 21.68% for retirement, that will cost $1,312,849.
Yeah, that's the classroom teacher. The question was, that's certified employees?
This is
Or
certified.
classroom teachers, as we
Yes,
understand?
yes,
Okay, thank you.
regardless of where they're paid from.
Cool. That get your question, Mr. Belfield?
And that's for 1 year?
That's for the first, yes,
Yeah, first year.
yes.
And I know the answer to this, but that number would go up based on an increase from the state. It
For the
would
retirement.
obviously take the local supplement up some amount.
Right.
Right.
For the retirement, when the retirement increases, that
That's
will
not up there
increase.
now. That would be based on what the state gives in salary.
Right.
Ms. Jack,
Yes, sir.
how about for other county commissioners and Mr. Belfield? You know, teachers' salaries have been going up. Go over the non-certified salary increase also, so they can hear the numbers, if you don't mind. Because a lot of times our transportation, our cafeteria, our child nutrition, secretaries, they're left out of the mix, and it's something, the state will control teacher salary, but our local will control our non-certified.
Right. Yes, sir. The 1% increase for non-certified, and all the different departments and categories are listed, is 1%, including FICA and retirement again, is $258,377. A 1.5% increase would be $387,566. And a 2% increase would be $516,754.
Just clarification, those numbers that you've given us for certified and non-certified is based on the current salaries without any increases from the state?
Right.
2%, 3%, 4%?
Exactly.
Of the employees in the school system, those two categories, who does that not cover?
I think it covers everybody. That's everyone.
I'm thinking about principals, assistant principals, central staff.
Well,
Do all of those fall in one of those
administrations would
categories?
be in- Yeah, administration, and the supplement percentage increase would include the administrators.
But those costs are in these numbers.
The supplement is in, for the principals would be in the numbers that we shared with you earlier, in the other
Certified,
slide.
understood. And central staff would be in the non-certified.
Right. This covers technology.
Would you read that list again on the non-certified, who that includes?
Administration, bus drivers and monitors, child nutrition, clerical, maintenance, teacher, assistants, transportation.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Jarrett, are you saying that Central's office staff personnel are not in certified, they're non-certified?
They're in this category.
These people that you've got listed in non-certified, this is a supplement that we're talking about.
No, this is a percentage increase in their salary, not a supplement.
Okay, don't you have some of these people that are funded through state or federal funds? For example, clerical.
Some of them are paid out of state, but they do not get an increase when the certified staff get an increase mandated by the state. Their salary is paid, but they don't get an increase automatically. The state has to specify that they get an increase.
And you're saying the state has made no indication that they're going to provide an increase for these people?
No, and you're correct. When they gave a bonus this year, none of these people received the bonus. Those individuals that were paid out of the state funds, they did not specify that they would receive that bonus. In fact, they specified they would not receive the bonus.
I don't care about bonuses. I don't think that's a good idea anyway. I'm just looking at salaries. I think most people want a salary. They don't really want a bonus. They want their salary to go up and stay up. So, okay, so this includes central office, and you're saying all of these people in all of these categories are funded. None of them are funded locally. They're all state or federal.
No, I said some of them may be paid out of state. Some are paid out of local. We try to pay as many out of state as we can. There are some paid out of federal. But whenever there's an increase in state, they do not get the increase automatically.
So is this a supplement? If they get
This-
paid, if they get paid out of state and they don't automatically get an increase that classroom teacher would, is this an increase to their salary, or is this a bonus?
It's an increase to their salary. So if we're paying someone $35,000 now and we're taking it from a program out of state, if they are to receive a 1% increase, their new salary is what we would pay, would draw out of the state funding.
Are any of these people in that category now?
Yes,
So we're already contributing some percentage of their salary?
those people who are paid out of state, their full salary is paid out of state. They will never get an increase if they're in this category unless it's approved by
Right. I
this
got
governing
that.
body.
But we're talking about these people potentially will not be considered for a state salary increase. So we're looking at the county funding a 1.5%, 2% increase to that salary. And do we have any of these people that currently get any funding from the county to supplement their salary? Or is this a precedent we're setting here?
We're not setting a precedent. In order to calculate what the salary increase is for these individuals, even those who are not paid out of local, we had to include everyone who would not who would not receive an increase from state to calculate what the impact would be.
Okay, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good with it. Thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Other questions from commissioners? Dr. Ellison, I think the last thing that our board needs is some type of explanation. I see what you're asking us for. I see what you're asking for an increase. And I do know that you're a long way and generally do not finalize your budget till sometime after we have to finalize ours because you're waiting on the state to provide numbers for you. What does that calendar look like from this point moving forward for y'all? And whichever wishes to answer it.
I'm gonna say late June, but,
Do you think by July the 1st, you would know what your total budget looks like? It seems like to me sometimes it has moved over into July. And I know that depends on what happens in Raleigh.
If they pass the budget, we should, by July 1, have the allocation of funds that we need to build a budget. Yeah.
Okay. The last, is that pretty much y'all summarize your program for tonight?
Yes.
The last couple of things that our board has discussed, since we're all here together, and it was somewhat mentioned here tonight, and I did last night from about 1 o'clock to 1:30, or 1 o'clock to 2:30, watch y'all's meeting from Tuesday night, just so I'll kind of know what went on in your committee meeting. But it does bother our board that I think our board continually gets pointed a finger at because of what is spent on Edgecombe County schools or schools located in Edgecombe County is what is spent on schools in Nash County, maybe even in Rocky Mount versus rural areas. I don't know where the line is. But I think it's very important to note, and I hope you will agree with this, is we really have zero say over there. We give you capital money, and from that point on, we don't have any input, we don't have a veto, but it's just all y'all's decision. But
Right.
That part is important to our board, but the real important part is I took, and I asked you for this, and you and Mr. Davis provided it for me and actually gave the time to me after you presented it to your board to go through these documents here, which is your 10-year capital improvement plan. And actually, Mr. Davis, Mr. Outlaw is coming to us in May to go over it with our board. Is that the date, in the second meeting in May? And we have already got that scheduled. But being the number cruncher that I am, and of course, fortunately understand this stuff pretty good because this is the industry that I'm in, but if you take the facts of what this document shows, it doesn't prove that that statement is anywhere near accurate. I took it by each school, and I looked at what's been spent, and I looked at what's proposed to be spent, and I even went back to your last 10 years and brought it forward. And what it really shows is, and I first tried to do it by enrollment, and I realized that really wasn't accurate. But then I went back and studied it from a square footage standpoint, because really and truly maintenance cost is tied to square footage more so than anything else. And so when you do that, and I'm not here to toot Mr. Davis's horn or anybody on the board that made these decisions, and Mr. Davis is no kin to me whatsoever, I promise you that. But actually, there has been more money spent, if you take two categories of school only, being schools located in Edgecombe County and schools located in Nash County, on a square foot basis, there's been more money over the last 10 years spent on the schools in Edgecombe County. So you hear that constantly, but it's just actually not factual information. And I just felt compelled to somewhat defend our board by making that statement. Now, there are, of course, a great larger number of schools located in Nash County than it is in Edgecombe County. But if you just look at it by square footage, that's the most accurate way that you can actually determine if that statement, I guess what you can say as the political arena uses that to do a fact check on that statement when it's made. But I think your board has done a great job, along with your maintenance staff, in making sure the money was spent equally, and if anything, maybe a little bit heavier on the Edgecombe County side. Now, with that said, I would like to discuss, we met in October, and I think our board made it very clear that any future increases that we were given to the school system, that our interest would be more along the line of supplements for teachers than probably anything else you could talk about. Now, we do hear frequently from the public that in the Senate bill, we were able to obtain a 10-year moratorium on what we were required to give the school system, and that we could not be sued during that period of time. That wasn't the interest of this board, was to try to get in a position where we wouldn't be sued. We want to do each year what we can afford to do. And really and truly, I think the majority of our board feels like that's a bad law anyway. And so we wanted some relief on it. And it does appear like soon it will be statewide that way. But we have gone and we've looked, and it's at least a 5-year period when we have given you the same amount of money for current expense as well as for capital expense. Now, in reality, because you've got a declining population, you do get more money per student each one of those years, because, well, it actually went up just a little bit year before last, I think it was. So we have given you more money, but if you just look at the dollar amounts, it has been constant. But we do not do that because we know we can do it and we can't be sued. That's another image that bothers our board, because some people actually think that. And we do have an interest this year to do something with these supplements, quite frankly. And I think the board is glad to see it presented this way. I think the idea that we did when we went from 6 to 8 a number of years ago, and then we did another increment to get from 8 to 10. What we did, I know the first time, I don't think we did it the second time or vice versa, but we agreed with the school system to do a 2% supplement increase, but we did it on a shared basis where we picked up the cost of 1%, the school system found the cost of 1%, and we did it at the same time so the teachers would get a larger increase in their paychecks. I think our board would be very interested in pursuing that idea again, and it looks like to me, with the amount of funds that you have already gotten through the 3 sources of funding that we are getting on a temporary basis, that may be a possibility for the schools to do. Now, we recognize that that's a reoccurring expense, and we do recognize that if you can somehow utilize all this money you got coming, maybe to do something here that would have come here that meets the criteria for these, we call them American Recovery Funds, you've got a different name for them, that somehow you might could make that work. And I read in one of the local papers, I don't know which one, that you expressed a concern, like I think you should have, that 3 years down the road, that cost would still be there. And we recognize that. I do think, and our board hadn't discussed this in total, but I do think if we could come to that agreement, I just feel like you've got a way that you could do it with, I believe it was $53 million coming in through those 2 pots of money. But I do feel like, and this board can never, like any board, commit a future board for any funding. We just can't do that. But I do think if we could come along that agreement, that very possibly by that point, because Nash County is growing, and our revenues are going up, our sales tax are going up, our taxes are going up, tax collection on property tax are going up. I do feel like that would be an opportunity in 3 years where we could pick back up the part that you won't be getting funding for it anymore. So I believe what we're asking tonight is for y'all to consider that idea, spend some time with it, and see if we can come to terms along that.
I'm sure,
Whenever
yeah.
you get all of your funds available to you and know what your funding is gonna be. Now, that may not be by July the 1st, but if we have to do a budget amendment, Mr. Lamb or Ms. Wood, don't let me get off course. I don't mind you calling me, telling me I'm wrong on something in public, because I'm wrong quite a bit. But very possibly, if it actually gets into next year, but I believe the boards are gonna be very interested in knowing what your total budget looks like. The point that was brought up a couple of times, what's the state gonna do? Of course, if you're gonna get a 10% raise for all school personnel, we'd want to wait till a later period, of course. But I think we all know that that's probably not gonna happen. But I'm doing a lot of rambling, but do you understand
I get
what
it.
the board's interest is?
I get it, and I think probably me and Ms. Jarrett and my team probably need to look at what it would look like and how much it would cost, because we have some concerns now with that 3-year window, because, you know, it's just, we just need to make sure we're careful. But we'd be glad to consider it and discuss it.
And I do know we've had this discussion before, or Mr. Outlaw and myself had, and some other board members. We probably need to look at a further breakdown of each one of those categories and see, we never want names, but we would like to see, our key interest is classroom teachers, to be frank.
Understand.
I know I've heard y'all talk a lot about bus drivers and need to do more for bus drivers, and there's probably numerous ones on that list. But I do think, Mr. Outlaw, I don't speak for you, and you help me out, because you understand this a little better than I do. But that's our key concern is classroom teachers. But if we could go in it and have a full understanding of what our money, you know, where it's going and so forth, and certainly we know we do not need to get in y'all's financial business, and we don't intend to do that. But I hear constantly from most every board member, classroom teachers. But that's something we can certainly work on in finalizing our 2 budgets over the next 60 days.
Okay.
Mr. Belfield, I'd like to give my other board members or our board members an opportunity to chime in on what I've said.
Edgecombe County, than Nash, based on the schools.
What I said, Mr. Belfield, was if you take it on a square foot basis and look at the last 10-year period, on a per square foot basis, there was more money spent per square foot on those schools, and I don't see the relevance of the school being in Edgecombe, or whether it's in Nash, or whether it's in the city of Rocky Mount, or whether it's not in the city of Rocky Mount. But that's what I hear from some of the public, is making that comparison between schools in Nash and schools in Edgecombe. And it concerns us that that statement is made frequently, but it's just not an accurate statement.
You're exactly right. It's not accurate. I don't see where they're making any improvement since you're talking about the Edgecombe County side. Because I can remember several years ago, I called attention to O.R. Pope that they need to do something. And they came and showed me the figure, this is what we've been doing at O.R. Pope. 4 years later, it was shut down. And when those figures were presented to me, I told them that it's not true. And it wasn't true. They hadn't done anything. And we got to watch these figures and do some follow-up to make sure the figures are saying what has been done.
Well, there again, we have a fine line, as you and I have discussed before.
I'm not here tonight to promote Edgecombe County,
Right.
but it's a part of the Nash public school system.
Indeed it is.
And until it's changed, it's our responsibility to keep up these schools, all of them. I think, what is it, 28 or 29 of them?
27, if I counted
Yeah,
right on that
so-
list, but
That's the reason I
sure.
asked the earlier
And that's
question.
the
that
exact reason I'm
in the
making the
report
statements that
from
I'm
Mr.
making.
Davis, it didn't show anything from the schools even located in the city of Rocky Mount on either side of Nash County or Edgecombe County.
Well, I'm not here tonight to dispute a fellow board member, but these documents show different.
Well, I know it's the school board's responsibility,
Yes, sir.
not ours, but we fund them, so
We
at least
do.
we can ask questions
We can,
and
sir.
have concerns.
Absolutely. Mr. Outlaw, I think you were going to say something.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo what the chairman said, and I'm in full support of that. I just want our school system to be the very best it can be. And to be the best it can be, it's got to have good teachers, it's got to have good supporting staff, and it's got to have good bus drivers, dedicated, committed people at all levels. And so I'm willing to look at all those levels and consider and do what's appropriate. But I appreciate the working relationship that we've had recently very much, and I'm just in tune with working with you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments from commissioners?
I agree with Commissioner Alvarez's comments.
Yes, sir. Mr. Lane?
Yeah, specifically what I'd like to see is on the certified side where you have 656,000 and for 1% supplement, if you could break that out between teachers and principals and between teachers and administrators in the schools.
Other thoughts?
Some years back, we didn't get names, but we got all of our principals and all of our assistant principals. There was a number, not a name. We got their salary and we got their supplement. And at that time, it appeared that the supplements vary tremendously. So if we could get something like that again, then we can see if any progress has been made in trying to bring those supplemental levels for those positions more in tune.
And that's a little harder than it used to be because the state now allows principals to receive money for growth when it comes to schools. So you're going to see, there's a different, and it fluctuates depending on growth, non-growth, but we can break it down so it's more meaningful.
What I'm trying to say is if we've got principals and assistant principals, and they're important, we've got to have good principals and good assistant principals. But if we see a supplement line that is way out of kilter with our classroom teachers, then that's of concern to me, because I think it happens in the classroom.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of factors that go into supplements for administrators, which school and that sort of thing, but the list he's talking about, there were principals making 25, 35% supplements, and whereas teachers were getting 10% by then. So that seemed to be, again, I understand you want to bring in good administrators, good principals, but it did seem like under prior administrations that some of those supplements had been inflated.
In closing, Chairman Lamb and Dr. Ellis and board members, I do want to leave here tonight with y'all knowing that this board has an interest in doing something for your salaries, and we can certainly get it done this year, I hope. Of course, we've got a short window like we always do, but if we all get to work and work together and keep in touch with one another, I certainly am encouraged that we can make this happen. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Before
before we get to adjournment, I would like to thank the county commissioners for inviting us here tonight. It's been a good year, working with the county commissioners closer than we have in a long time. And I definitely know now that we all are putting children first. And it's like we said at our last meeting, you know, our numbers have been down for the last couple of years, student-wise. But as we start getting our students back, I'm glad we're looking, or the county commissioners are looking with us on these supplements, because there's gonna be a teacher shortage. If we can recruit, like Mr. Outlaw said, the best teachers, and we up our supplement, that's gonna be even more enticing to get the best teachers to Nash County, and that's what we want for our students. With that, I would say the Nash County, Mr. Silver?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Davis, for your remarks tonight in your presentation. I just want to ask of you this, but I know what your answer is probably going to be. We will work extremely hard from this board to make sure that we meet the obligations that you requested within our means, by all means. However, will you give me a commitment tonight for what we can't do, the county commissioners will, without any?
Mr. Silver, I need you to say that again, because I'm not sure I fully understand your statement.
Okay, you may break it down even more.
Maybe if you repeat it, this old guy will understand it the second time.
Thank you for your presentation. We want to have the best teachers in Nash County schools. In order to do that, we have to make it attractive where teachers will want to come to Nash County. I understand that classrooms are very important, but in order for the students to get here, they've got to get on the bus to get in the classroom. There are parts of monies that we will be looking at from our district, and I asked you, if we're unable to meet your request of meeting you halfway, will you take the whole way with the increase?
I think the Board of Commissioners is prepared to work with you and try to do the best we can do. And that's a political answer, and I fully understand that, but I can't make
But do you understand that I'm asking you to make a commitment tonight, telling me that if we don't come up with money, you will?
That statement was not made, sir. And please understand that we have a 7-member board like you have an 11-member board, and it's got to be a board decision.
I understand that, but please keep in mind what I asked of you when you have your meeting. Thank you.
I did understand.
Yes, sir.
At Mr. Outlaw's request, at Mr. Outlaw's request, just to make sure the board understood, we see that there is a lot of money right this minute, more so, quite frankly, coming into Nash County than any time I can remember. And sometimes we've kind of just scratched our head. But whatever we do, our board and Ms. Wood, I promise you, is going to make sure we do it the correct way. And so we work very hard to understand the rules, and right now we're talking tonight and we don't have the rules yet. And I don't think y'all have them yet for this relief, American Relief Funds. But what we're indicating is that we think that your board would be in a position to begin with to help with this 2% supplement, but very possibly at a time 3 years from now, you may not be able to, because a lot of this money will be gone away, and we are making the commitment with the understanding that we can't commit a future board. 3 years from now, there may not be anyone sitting here that's sitting here today.
Well, I was asking you for a 3-year commitment, not so much a 3-year commitment, but simply asking you to do all you can to help us with what we can't do. But I get it.
Yeah,
I get
okay.
it loud and clear.
I think we're saying the same thing. We're just saying at that point, we feel like we would be in a position where maybe we could pick up the 1% that you've helped with up to that point.
Well, Mr. Davis, I'm a man of faith, so I'm going to say thank you for the 2%.
Yes, sir. Do we sing a hymn now? If we do, what is it, sir? No, I'm kidding with you. I think Mr. Outlaw has another question. Hold on just a minute so everybody can hear you.
I'll direct this to Dr. Ellis. What is the supplement rate in Wake County? I know we can't compete with Wake County.
So they do a percentage based on years, and it goes up and fluctuates from 12 to a new teacher, 14 to 16.
Okay.
You know, if we're in that 11 to 12 range, and the only reason I'm looking at Wake and Johnston, because when our teachers do exit interviews, always try to find out so where they go.
Yeah, well, I mean, they got to travel from here to Wake or Johnston, but surrounding counties other than possibly Wake, that should put us, and I think, I'm trying to remember, County Manager, but we looked at this, and I believe our supplemental rate currently is pretty high on the poll of 100 counties. I can't remember exactly where, but this would move us on up, probably in the top 15 or 25.
Right.
Which would be a good place to be.
Correct.
Yeah.
Mr. Sharp is Zoom, and he's got a question. Bill Sharp.
Who is? Who knows that? Yeah, but how do we know that? I hope I ain't got no info. Oh, okay.
See him up there.
Yeah.
Mr. Sharp, go ahead.
Oh, thank you, I appreciate it. Hey, so I just tagged in about a half hour ago, but I did hear something that was very interesting. I just want to make sure I'm clear on it. I too would like to thank the county commissioners for all your efforts and support you've shown to Dr. Ellis and his staff. My question, and I think Mr. Davis has alluded to or talked to it, I just want to make sure I'm affirming what he said, and it was regarding that supplement side. We're looking at, and I totally agree, if we can do that matching fund that we did a few years back, 1-to-1, it will enable us to better be in position to be competitive with our surrounding counties. So what I'm saying is that I thought I heard you say to Mr. Davis, which I like, you will match the 1-for-1, or your team will as we will, but realizing that the funding for the pandemic will be cut short in 3 years. And did I not hear you say you think the county is going to a point that you would be, or the commissioner might be able to pick up that 1% if we don't have it?
That's what was said, with the caveat that we are doing something that we really can't do as it relates.
Understandable.
We can't permit a future board, and you know, we all seven may still be sitting here. That's something none of us know.
But I just want to say I appreciate the board thinking that far out, thinking if you're in a position to do that, then you guys will work to do that.
Yes, sir.
Before we adjourn our board, Mr. Silver, I have a lot of faith, just like you talking about. I hope whatever board members are sitting here 3 years from now, they'll be talking about a 3 to 5% increase.
We better adjourn.
But with that being said, I will, at this time, adjourn the National County Public School Board of Education.
Okay, are there any action items, Mr. Lamb, our board needs to take on any matter? I see a folder up here, Madam Clerk, is there anything in there that requires action?
That is actually you sent your email.
I know what that is, okay. You don't know any action we need to take. Okay, with that said, any other comment by a commissioner? If not, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. I have a motion by Commissioner Outlaw, a second by Commissioner Belfield. Any questions on that motion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Any opposed by a like sign. Stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody.